Hi, my name is Brendan Bartic with Brendan Bartic Real Estate Coaching, where our mission is to train the most elite real estate agents and coaches on earth. Today we're going to be diving into the inspection objection, right? So for most of us, professional real estate agents, this is one of those situations where we can either be a hero or be a zero in the eyes of our client. This is where we can destroy a deal and put it to bed right there, or we can have a smooth transaction moving forward. Now, to understand the inspection objection, the first part is we have to understand the psychology that there's multiple different people involved, and the psychology that each one of them has a different mindset for what they think is success. You've got the seller, who wants to do very little or nothing to the property because they don't want to lose any money on the repairs or any of the items. You've got the buyer, who usually wants everything done, wants a brand new house when this is all said and done. And then you've got the buyer's agent, right, if you're on the listing side, who has their ideas of what they think the buyer really wants and needs and what they need for them. And then you have yourself as the listing agent. I'm going to talk about two things today, you as the listing agent and you as the buyer's agent. And then you have yourself on what you're trying to get them to, which is a successful resolution. All right. So what I'm going to give you today is some pro tips, some things that I've learned from selling thousands of homes. I'm still out there in the streets every day doing the exact same thing, and that have made it so much easier for me to not only look like a hero when this is all said and done, but to make sure that I'm doing everything I can for either my buyers or my sellers to get them what they really want, which is to move forward and purchase the home. All right. Remember, your role is to get them to be able to, all parties, to move forward on a resolution so they can sell the home and the buyer can buy the home. All right. Now, we get in our heads a lot where it's like, I've got to go to bat for my buyer. I've got to get this amazing deal from my seller, all of this stuff. No, there's nowhere in your fiduciary duties in any state that I've ever worked in or that I've ever helped people sell real estate in that it says that you have to get the best deal on the inspection objection. If you're in a state that has that, please point it out to me. I'd love to hear. Your role in this is to represent your buyer and your seller with the utmost interest to get them what they want, which is to buy the home or sell the home. All right. So now the first pro tip I'm going to give you is this is mostly taken care of with the correct setup. So when I'm the listing specialist, I'm going to receive the buyer's inspection objection, a number of things that they're requesting that they want to have done, that they want the seller to take care of for them to be able to move forward. Now, the first thing that I do is I always coach the buyer agent that I'm working with. And when I say coach, I talk to the buyer specialist on the other end from whatever company they're at. And I say, hey, look, I know you guys have the inspection coming up. Again, just want to make sure that we're on the same page, that you're trying to make sure that the clients that you have are focusing on two things that are physically broken, or that are a health and safety concern. Health and safety concern. Those are the two main things that we're going to be focused on, right? We're not looking at cosmetics. We're not looking at, oh my gosh, the paint's got some chips. It's got all that. So other agent, Sally, if we can make sure that you're having them focus on that, because you don't know what the other experience level of that agent is. And don't worry if they think you're going to take offense and like, oh, that agent's been selling 20 years. Let's get on the same page so we're getting into this situation where we can kind of get their mindset on what we're going to be talking about. And if they get upset, they're like, hey, look, Susie, I know your goal is to get your buyers to the finish line and buy this home, correct? What are they going to say? No? Of course they're going to say yes. That's the same goal that I have for my sellers. So me and you, Susie, we share the same goal. I just want to make sure that we're doing the prep work ahead of time for us both to get there. Does that sound fair? Okay, it works. Now, the second thing, so they go and do the inspection, they come back, they have 25 items that they're requesting, right? A lot of them aren't things that are physically broken. A lot of them aren't things that are health and safety. There's all kind of cosmetic stuff on there and all of these crazy things. The more communication you have with the buyer's agent, the more that you can get things done ahead of time before you go and present this to your seller. So you might go back and go, look, Susie, hey, I appreciate that you submitted this, but boy, if I present this to my sellers, they're going to freak out. They're going to come back with nothing. So what are the main things on here you're trying to accomplish? Because again, I can just tell you that more than likely this isn't going to work. Right? So you kind of get their hot buttons and they go, you know what? Yeah, my buyers wanted me to put, I hear this all the time. My buyers wanted me to put everything on there, but what they're most concerned about is A, B, and C. All right. So now I just took a list of 20 and brought it down to 3 items that I know is what they're really, really set and focused on. All right. Now that I've got that, I know what I can go into. I'm going to send an email to my clients, and this is very specific on how you need to do this. I'm going to send an email that has the inspection objection, the actual report. So the inspection objection that they're requesting the items on, the actual inspection report, any reports that came with it. So radon, mold, termite, whatever it might be, and in your area it might vary different or whatever it is. But I'm going to have a copy of every report that supports those items. All right. Now, when I submit this to the seller, I'm going to say, please find buyer's inspection objection, inspection report. And at this point, there's a very canned email that we offer in our course that states very simply a couple of things. Number one, Mr. Seller, John, the buyers have completed all of their inspections and have submitted their inspection resolution, which I have provided below, if it's a link, or I have attached if it's a PDF that I have provided. At this point, we have several options for you to select on how you would like to move forward. Number one, repair all items and move forward to a successful closing. That's number one. Number two, provide a concession, a cash amount in lieu of all items, and move forward to a successful closing. Well, I'll submit to the buyer's agents to see if they'll accept and move forward to a successful closing. Number three, provide a combination of repairs and concession for all items and move forward to a successful closing. Number four, reject the inspection objection. Buyers will terminate and not move forward to a successful closing. So those are the 4 options that they have. And at the bottom, I go, so at the bottom, you're going to send this email at least 3 to 4 hours before you're going to speak to them. So at the bottom of this email, you're going to say, John, I have availability to discuss this in detail with you today at 4 o'clock, right? And you maybe give them 2 times, today at 4 or would 6 p.m. tonight be better for you? If you're sending it at like noon, all right? If you're sending it at 9 a.m., you could do 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. The reason that is such a critical piece of this, and it is critical, is that because that waiting time allows the seller to cool down, because the first thing that we know of seller psychology is they're going to take offense when they see that inspection report and they're like, oh, what, are you kidding me? I'm not going to freaking do, what the, no. I want them to take a second, first go through that range of emotions. They're going to be like, ah, and then fine, right? So give them that time. I see agents all the time where you send the inspection objection over, you call them up right now and you go, look, oh, John, I can't believe they asked for all of these things. Oh my gosh, I get it. This is ridiculous. And what you feel percolates to them and then makes them feel that similar way. So I've sent the email. I've gotten confirmation of when I'm going to speak with the seller, and I'm going to call up the seller and discuss with them, right? Basically the 4 options. So, hey, John, you got the email? So you had a chance to review it? Yeah, okay. And we're not really happy about it. I completely understand. And you had a chance to review all 4 of the options that I provided in the email on how we can proceed to move forward to a successful resolution. Yeah, we saw them. We saw those options. Okay. So, John, at this point, what would you like to do? That's it. John, at this point, what would you like to do? Well, I don't really want to do anything. Okay, I can understand that. So John, then if you don't want to do anything, do you want to terminate the agreement and not move forward to a successful closing, put this back on the market, put it in front of another buyer who could have even more inspection items and come right back here to this point again? Well, no, we don't want to do that. Okay, all right. So let's talk about it, John. So looking at all of the items, the easiest way to resolve this would be to provide a concession in lieu of all of the items, right? So looking at all of these items, taking a look at the dollar amount, I've already calculated an amount that would cover most of these items, and that number is X amount. So right now, to make this all go away and us to move forward to a successful closing, would you be open to offering that amount? Well, no, that's a crazy amount. Okay, all right. So what number would you feel comfortable with? Okay, let them give their number, right? Now you've got them at least progressing, moving forward of saying, yeah, this makes sense to get us to the resolution, all right? Now, if you want to have them do the repairs, the reason I don't like to do repairs as much as I do a concession is because there's a lot that can go wrong with a seller taking care of repairs. It's never as good as what the buyers are expecting it to be. Your seller forgets to use a licensed contractor. You then have to go find them licensed contractors. There's a whole madness of stuff that has to go on there. And then everything has to be right on the day of or the day before closing in a final walkthrough. No, that's stressful as all get out. What I would much rather have, right, and I think as you much rather have, is a cash amount. That's great. The buyers are in control of taking care of the repairs however they want. And then you're going to work on explaining to the buyer's agent why that makes the most sense. Now that doesn't work every time. Sometimes the buyers go, no, we need this done before we move in. And this is where the negotiation comes in. But again, it's still just going back to a win-win situation. Now, I have sellers all the time that go, well, Brendan, this is ridiculous. I always switch it back and I go, John, think about this. If I was representing you as the buyer's agent and we were going to look at homes right now, wouldn't you want, when we were buying your new home, these items to be repaired before you moved into it? Right? And they always go, yes, yeah, I guess I would. Of course, right? You've got to strip them away from being defensive and put them in the shoes of the buyer and make sure that they understand that the buyer is just asking for what the inspector told them was wrong. They get very personal, right? They're like, the buyer wants to, they're trying to screw me over. No, it's not the case. It's, again, what the inspector has told them was wrong with the property. Now, then I try to get my sellers, if they still don't want to do anything, let's focus on the things that are physically broken and the things that are actually a health and safety issue. Because usually if I can get them to agree to those two items, those two types of items, then I can go back to the buyer's agent and explain all of those items and make sure that they have a great understanding of how to work through that with their buyer, and a little bit of coaching there. All right. So again, the setup, the consultation, and then get to a win-win for all parties that you can go back and provide a resolution to the buyer. Now, when I go back to buyers, I always go back, and this is where people get a little bit confused as well. I always go back in writing. So I'll go back with my resolution offer signed by my seller. I submit that over to the agent first, then call the agent and explain. A lot of agents go, why wouldn't I just call the agent and try to negotiate with them? I want to get my resolution offer in writing in front of them, because again, if it's in front of them and they put it in front of their buyers could just sign it and we're moving forward. You let the agent go back and talk to the actual buyer, and things could get a little squirrely, a little weird. Who knows what they're going to say to them and all this funny stuff, right? So that's the real reason we want to dial this in. Is it's sitting there. Things are time sensitive. You either accept it or not. Now they could come back and counter that resolution, right? They could definitely come back and counter that resolution. And then you go back to your seller and you come back with another written resolution for them to sign. But this is a very important piece on how to structure it, and it'll save you a lot of time, I guarantee that. So now they've been presented with your resolution. They go ahead and accept it. You go back to your seller. Now, the other reason for the 4 options that we had in there was, at any given time, did you actually physically tell the seller what you think they should do? No. You never told them. You came from a place of being a consultant on what can get them to the finish line so they can actually have a successful closing. You didn't. Now, if they ask you, what do you think we should do, Brendan? Well, the number one thing is, if you do everything, you can guarantee that you're moving forward to a successful closing. Anything you do lesser of that means there's a lot more risk that increases. So everything we do that we don't include for what we're going to take care of for the buyer is that much higher of a chance that they're not going to move forward. All right. So that's the way you have to explain it to them. Stay out of the trigger words. I think, I recommend, in my opinion, no. Here's what we know. If you do everything, you're going to move forward. You do anything less of everything, there's a risk that they won't move forward and they'll cancel the agreement. So John, what would you like to do? Well, do you think we're okay with just offering $1,000? Well, the items easily add up to over $5,000. So John, if we offer $1,000, then there's a high risk that they're going to say no to that and move forward to another property. Do you want to lose this qualified buyer and deal with this entire process again over $4,000? That's your risk, that's your choice to make, John, but it's a risk I wouldn't be willing to take. Right? So these are things, and we have, we practice this in our scripts and our objections and all of that, and you got to get comfortable doing it. This is practiced, right? This is why it sounds, very, very comfortable. And also, last pro tip that I'll give you on the seller side is anytime we're talking about something that's sensitive, money related, you have to drop that tonality down. You have to almost whisper, because people will be a lot calmer if you're calm. If you're talking to them, you're like, yeah, I can't believe they asked for a whole brand new roof. Yeah, I'm just as mad, John. Are you kidding me? Your roof is fine. What do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna go, Grr. You want them to go from here to here. That's what your job is in this, is to keep people level-headed, including that buyer's agent on the other end, right? So remember, in recapping this, okay, you got to understand the psychology. It's very, very important. Everybody involved. Pre-call the buyer agent to make sure that you're prepping them before the inspection ever happens on what they should be focused on, which is health and safety and things that are physically broken. Number 2, make sure you have the prep email set up with the cooling period of time to allow that seller to woo-saw and come back down, right? Give them that ability of time. Number 3, make sure that you're always providing a drafted resolution back to the buyer's agent for them to be able to provide to their client, so hopefully they can move forward. And then the last thing to remember is always try to go for a concession versus repairs. Concession always versus physical repairs. It'll save you time, headache, all parties being upset, and it's just easier to deal with a monetary amount. Now you can also throw in there, home inspect or home warranty. You can do certain things like that. But again, you want to stay away from physical, actual repairs. All right, so that was everything on the listing side. I'm going to be doing another video, which you can click and subscribe right here, that'll have every single thing you're going to want to learn on how to do this when you have the buyer, and how to set expectations with the buyer and set expectations with the listing agent. So again, this was all about how to have a successful seller inspection objection resolution process. And I know it works. I've used it hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of times. And I learned over the years, how to make it a little bit, just again, you want to be the hero in this and the consultant, not what you think or what you want to push upon them. All right. You do these techniques, I guarantee you're gonna enjoy this process a lot better and have a lot more deals stick together. So hope that was helpful. If you liked it, hit the like button. It always, lets me know that you actually care. Hit the subscribe button so you can get all of our great information. And as always, I wish you great success.